leave this open.
Let's move on.
Like, we're so ready to talk about how much we don't like Salvation that 3 is just kind of sidelined. But, we'll see. We'll see if this stays in. All right, so anyhow, hi, welcome to Binge Buddies, the fate we make. I'm your host, as always, Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Matt, Zombie Dog, Robbie the Robot, Dykes.
Hey, I know that one as well.
Yeah. I went for a more famous list this week. You'll notice real quick because we also have Joel, Optimus Prime, DeWitte.
You know, it's funny. I was never a person that liked Transformers.
You know, you look like a semi.
I was gonna say, is that the end of that sentence?
I was waiting to see if anybody had sharp feelings about Transformers, but
no, I hate Transformers.
I'm in good company. Good.
Like,
I mean, the producers or the director of next week's film really must have enjoyed Transformers because, my God, it's more Transformers than Terminator next week.
Again,
noises.
Wait for next week.
I know.
I definitely leave the intro into this thing now. Everyone wants to shit on Salvation, but I forgot to introduce Ryan Hal Lootens.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. Also, not really a robot, but I'm
I was gonna say
I'll take the AI. Okay,
it's AI. Yeah,
it's AI.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
but there's AI. In
very
some of these
murderous AI.
robots, so, it's a
Like,
very
we can accomplish the mission without the humans on board.
I'll probably put a few more shackles on that AI next time, huh? Yeah.
Daisy. I do love 2001.
I was just gonna say I always get shit for it. I don't really like 2001. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous movie that I'd rather not watch.
I think that's maybe why I come, because like I've got the 4K Blu-ray, and when I'm watching it, it's like I'm not watching it for the story so much. I'm watching it more for this looks amazing.
It's so gorgeous.
Does the white burn the retinas in your eyes?
Yeah, how many?
Just
how
too
many-
much.
Do you get like 1,000 nits of white just coming out of your TV right in your eyes?
Yeah, it's great.
It's so bright.
Did you have to wear glasses before you watched that on your TV?
Matt actually broke his TV because he went to the light.
It's
I was just sitting there and just like.
All right, let's do this. So we're here today to talk about Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. It's a wonderful film. It came out in 2003. And I guess
It clearly came out in 2003 because this couldn't have been screaming. This is 2003. More.
Oh no, this is the most dated 2003 movie ever. But you have to remember, 2003 was a fucking loaded summer. Like this was a very big summer of movies that we were all super excited for that we've mostly forgotten.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else came out in 2003.
Ang Lee's Hulk. That's why I made that joke earlier. Finding Nemo came out that summer. Matrix Reloaded came out that summer. The original Pirates of the Caribbean came out that summer. X-Men 2 came out that summer. Bruce Almighty, Bad Boys 2, and then of course, I'm saying it now. If I say it now, it's gonna become true. Future Binge Buddies topic: Too Fast, Too Furious also came out that summer. Gonna keep willing that one into existence.
Return of the King came out that year.
That's right. Yeah, it's a big.
I mean,
That was.
I was gonna say Return of the
wasn't
King
it?
coming out, that's just gonna decimate anything it was coming up against. It's the third in the trilogy of very successful films.
Yes.
Today we're talking about the third in the trilogy of very successful films.
Yeah, but
That goes
point
the opposite
is that-
direction of what Lord of the Rings did.
it hadn't been like, the third of one that the first one that came out 2 years ago, the second one that came out a year ago.
That's what went wrong.
12
with Terminator
years.
3. That's it.
Yeah. And everyone went into Terminator 3 knowing that James Cameron had nothing to do with it as well.
I'm not sure if Arnold, I mean, he obviously did know that, but he still gives it his all in this thing. As much as
He does.
can. Yeah.
Like one of my notes is literally when he arrives and he does the stand up thing and you actually see that shot of his body. It's like fucking hell. He looks incredible, and he was 55 at the time, and he's got oh god.
But I actually thought like he did good. Like we'll get into it obviously, but I don't think I'm just gonna say it up here at the top. I think I've already kind of said it, but I don't think this is a bad movie. I know this movie gets a lot of shit, A lot of shit for what we're joking about being very 2003. But I think if you're in the mood for a Terminator movie and you know it's not going to be one of those huge, epic, amazing movies we talked about the last 2 weeks, this one isn't bad. This might be the best of the sequels. We'll get through the sequels. I know a lot of people love Dark Fate. We'll get into why I don't. But I had a good time with this. Did you guys?
Yeah, I did actually. Like I haven't seen it since. I mean, I saw it at the cinema, and then I think I got the DVD and maybe watched it once, and that was the last time I saw it. And that's probably about 19, 18 years ago. So going into it now, like having watched Terminator and Terminator 2 way more times, I enjoyed it. I actually did really enjoy it. I thought it was a solid follow-up, and I like kind of like how they did it. And, you know, they had balls with that ending as well. You know, it was very ballsy ending.
I would very venture to guess, I even said this like in our internal chat, no one would make this movie today. Like, in any way, shape. I mean, they would make the fan servicey part of it. They make that kind of as like everyone's bread and butter these days. But as far as having an ending where the people fucking lose, that's not coming out today.
No, that'd be like midway through, and then you do like a time jump to the future war.
Yeah, or there's a sequel that's already being made at the same time, so you can do like a 5-year later
like,
jump.
Yeah, this is like, you know, Avengers Part 1. I mean, sorry, Terminator Part 1.
Do you think it helps them that they already established that Judgment Day happens, that they were able to reach for that?
I think, well, maybe yes and no. It's kind of both, because they made it such a clear thing that the characters believe there is no fate, but we as the audience definitely knows there is. So I'm not really sure, because like it depends on like which narrative you're buying into, like that the audience knows for sure that we know Judgment Day is going to happen no matter what, or that the characters are like, we stopped it, we did it, like by moving, like does it hurt the movie by moving the goal line so many times? Like does it hurt the franchise in general? I don't think it does, because you know that's what we're sitting down for. We want to watch people versus robots, and every time you move that goal line, that goes away, and we're like, hey, what the fuck?
I think that recurring theme of like fate versus determinism is always an interesting one. And one part I like about the third movie is that it still leans into there is fate, and you can try to tamper with it, and it might delay things or it might change things, but you're still headed down the same path one way or another.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie because it added a layer of complexity to it, because it's not necessarily all about John Connor. You know, it even adds that layer of it's John Connor and the people that are in his resistance. So it goes that extra layer of Cap Brewster's father being the key. Like if they had not gotten together in Mike Kripke's basement in Terminator 2, they were going to get together eventually. So I just think how no matter what, they were destined, and it was fate to come together. So I didn't really think about that the first time watching. I was like, I guess I just watched it for the entertainment value and not as a Terminator fan. But now watching as a Terminator fan, I can appreciate it more.
It's interesting, like what you were saying about it's not just about John Connor as well. I always had a little bit of an issue with this one man is responsible, because you can be the head of a resistance thing, but you still need people, like you're not going to know everything. And I like that they did sort of branch out a little bit more of like, you know, the machine's like, well, we can't find John Connor,
let's kill his
lieutenants. Yeah, because like, you know, a general without lieutenants is not going to be as effective. And you know, it's a kind of like a way of like, well, if we can't get rid of the big guy in charge, let's get rid of his command structure.
They demystified John Connor.
Yeah.
The first two movies, he is treated like a Christ-like figure or a deity, and they humanized him back down to a level where it's like, no, it takes a village, and it wasn't just him. It was this entire group of uprising resistors that went through it. It just so happens that at the end of the day, John Connor becomes the primary leader of that resistance.
Well said. And, you know, even that with the humanization thing, too, it's like when he's talking to the Terminator about how, oh, no fate, I'll just end it right here. And the Terminator's like, well, judging by your perspiration and the dilation, there's an 80% probability that you're going to pull the trigger. So let's go.
No, it was
And,
80% that he won't pull the trigger, and then it was, when basically when Kate said, "Let's,"
Yeah, that's right.
No, we're going because
That's
he has
right.
to obey her commands, and then that's
But still,
when
the humanity, like that's a last ditch effort because he's got, he's trying to call a bluff. So
yeah,
but
I like there's this sort of like the way we're seeing the sort of the adult John Connor having grown up from Terminator 2, knowing that it's all real now and not thinking it's bullshit, like going into the adulthood, and you have that sort of, you've got like several bits in it where he's like, I don't want this honor,
Yep.
like, and I liked that as well, because it's like it calls back a little bit to the first Terminator where you've got Sarah going, I don't want this honor of being the mother of the future, any of it, and all this stuff, and it's very realistic as well, because the amount of pressure that must be on his shoulders of like, I am the savior of humanity.
One thing that when we first watched this movie when I was in high school, one thing that bothered me at the start of the movie, they showed John Connor breaking into a veterinary hospital to obtain drugs, right? And I had the problem where I'd seen enough times to where they've, again, built John Connor as this hero of the resistance, and then you see him in this lowly point, and it's like, well, he's supposed to be the hero, and it didn't make sense to me. But now that I'm older and understand that people have flaws and ups and downs, it's like, yeah, of course he'd be in the gutter. Of course he'd be living a vagrant lifestyle. It reminds me a lot of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. It's like, yeah, terrible things have happened to him, and that's going to affect you. And it's going to inform your choices.
But let's kind of take it back to the beginning there, because that's actually kind of a good place to start, is because Nick Stahl had some pretty big shoes to fill here. And like when you're trying to go after the Eddie Furlong character of John Connor, which is, like pop culture standard, like everyone knows that character so well. And when he was not in a healthy place to actually reprise his role in here, because I think they did talk to him about it. And he just,
I read somewhere that he got offered the role and then went out and did, like, in celebration, did a lot of cocaine and then got arrested or something. And then they fired him.
I mean, that guy was having a lot of problems in mid 2000s. So him not being with the movie is it's a bummer, but I understand why it didn't work out. But anyhow, so Nick Stahl got hired to do this role, and not only does he have to do the role, he has to do a lot. Like, he has to carry a good chunk of this movie, and it kicks off right with him having to do the whole like the Sarah Connor monologuing, and it's like Linda Hamilton was great at this. Nick Stahl, he tries. Like, I like his messaging that he gets across, but then he has to build this character that Joel was talking about, which is John Connor, who is basically like, we won, yay, what do I do now?
Yeah, and it's this sort of like, we won, but I can't risk just in case. So he's then basically living off the grid just in case they didn't win. Like, I think there is that thing in the mind, like, well, we made it to Judgment Day, like, but he still got in his, like, we're talking about 6 years after Judgment Day was supposed to happen at this point, and he's still living off grid. He's still, like you said, a vagrant essentially. He is he's hiding from the machines, even though he's not even sure that the machines exist in the future anymore as well.
Yeah. But to Joel's point of like him being this, like, he's breaking into a veterinary clinic, he's stealing drugs, he fell off his motorcycle, he's injured, but still, like, he's not going about it the proper route. But in this world, John Connor doesn't necessarily have to be the leader of the resistance. The pressure's kind of off. So his need to be perfect, you kind of see that it doesn't have to be there. Like, he can go do these slightly more like edge stuff, because all he has to do is, his whole goal is, quote unquote, stay off the grid. Like, just live off the grid. Whatever it takes to do that is the number one goal, in case there's somehow a robot could find him from the future and then ruin everything. So, like, I actually think it works. And I think Nick Stahl does a very good job selling the whole, like, I was a cocky kid who turned into a very awkward homeless dude.
It was very, I can't have a normal life. Even if the opportunity is there, I can't bring myself to it. You think, like, his mother was presumed insane, his foster parents were murdered ruthlessly. You could have,
which he got blamed for as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You could just have an internal, like, I can't trust anything but myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing as well, like, even if he did want to try and have a normal life after that, everything that happens in Terminator 2 is going to stop that anyway, because, you know, like I say, his foster parents were murdered. He's basically the primary suspect. Him and his mother blew up a computer, like basically put a massive business into nothing.
Yep.
Destroyed, like, you know, they were with someone who shot up police cars, and they didn't kill any police officers, but it's attempted murder of multiple police officers. He kneecapped a bunch of them as well.
But the police remember him as the guy who shot up the other police station because it's the same dude. So like now they're with that terrorist dude. Like
yeah. So like even if he wanted a normal life, he wouldn't be able to do it, which is why I hated that original ending for Terminator 2, because there's no way on earth that would ever happen.
No way. Yeah.
Because it just would. There's been no way that he'd even be able to live a normal life, let alone become a fucking senator or whatever he was supposed to be.
Yeah, no.
Well, I was just gonna say too, like there's this essence of self-fulfilling prophecy in this one.
Yeah.
Because he's very whiny. You know, he's he's very whiny as the movie goes on, almost that childlike experiences, and then as the movie progresses, he starts to become more of a leader. And that's what I enjoy about this movie too, is you definitely get a little bit more of a character arc with him in this one. You know, you see him transition from boy to man essentially.
Yeah. But you get that with Catherine as well. Like they give Catherine the full Catherine is I'm blanking on her name.
Claire Danes.
Claire Danes, thank you. But Claire Danes' character, she gets the full Sarah Connor treatment, but from 1 to 2, but in just this one movie, where she starts as just a vet with a husband and, you know, a nice life. And then her husband gets the fucking foster parent treatment. He gets killed. And then she has to go from, you know, basically normal person with normal job to shooting down Terminators with an automatic rifle. Like she does the full arc too. Like I like this movie. It really took that, like the James Cameron style of like, we want to like amp up to something. We want to just have the movie constantly progressing into something. And that starts like right out of the gate. Like by the time the movie starts, Skynet has already won, which is a very interesting, like it's done it.
It's a very sort of like, you know, when Skynet was originally conceived, like in the I mean the actual concept for the film, not in universe, the world, the company, whatever. The internet wasn't a thing. So, and then when we get to this stage in the films where the internet's such a big thing, the idea of this AI that is literally living online and it's in cyberspace, there is no master control, as it were. Like, you know, it's the idea of there being like one sort of big control center. It's very kind of like 80s thinking of computers, whereas, you know, in the early 2000s and especially today, like it's very conceivable that if an AI existed and got onto the internet, you would never be able to stop it, because there wouldn't be any way to really, you wouldn't be able to kill it. There'd be no master control thing to shut it down.
Yay!
Thanks, Matt.
But you're not fine. Wrong. But like that's how this movie approaches it, and I love that right out of the gate. So you get like Catherine Brewster, which is Claire Danes' character, and then her dad, which is General Brewster, who's working for the military, who's the guy who launched Skynet. Like that's how she's tied into this. And the movie starts with him like, none of our computers are working. Like there's a virus. Somebody has hacked the government, and they've released this virus, and we can't figure out how to do it. But we have this like really super computer idea called Skynet, but it might be too powerful. And then as the movie goes on, like you get this very slow progression. We're jumping all over the place. I apologize, but that's the way this one works. But like as the movie goes on, you find out that the computers aren't working because Skynet is already there, and it just needs to have the shackles taken off. But it's already won because it's already fucking with your computers. It's setting you up. It's like, oh shit.
What I like about it as well is it's a progressive. It's very progressive. Like, so you see the progression of Skynet taking over. It's like it starts with civilian computers, and then there's this conversation where it's like, well, no, it's not into the military hardware yet. It's just getting like civilian computers, and then there's the argument, and it's a line I actually use a paraphrase of, and I didn't even realize that I got it from this. It's like where it says that'd be like going after a fly with a bazooka.
Yeah,
and I sometimes say like, well, that's like going after an ant with a nuke.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know where that came from, and like now I know, I remember now. But it's right, and it's that progression of like he's very sort of like, well, we don't really know how powerful this thing is because we've been building it. It's a learning computer.
Yeah,
and again, it's like these people who are above his head are kind of like, we want to stop this. We need to stop this virus. We are going to launch it. You are going to have to do it. And he's kind of like pushed into that situation by the powers that be. But I like that we are actually shown that it is a progression as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, well, we're launching Skynet now because reasons. We actually see the reasons behind it.
Well, and I like how General Brewster, he understands the gravity of the situation, because they have that moment where he tells the technician to stop, so he could be the one flipping the switch. He's the one making the decisions. He understands the weight and gravity of it. Maybe not to the extent that's to destroy humanity, but the fact that he's unleashing this, I imagine it's probably not dissimilar to like whoever pulled the trigger and made the decision to drop a atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like the weight that carries.
Yeah, and like
sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, and Brewster just like that moment where he's like exactly what Joel's talking about, like, let me push it, and like I it's almost comical in the way of like, I'm going to push this button, and oh god, a robot from the future that I can't remember. It's just like immediate.
Well, that's the thing as well. It's like I've never seen so much drama being like bled out of a scene over someone pushing Y on a keyboard. Like, yeah. And they do it really well, actually. You get a lot of these, especially like the early 2000s, late 90s. You had a lot of these sort of like quote unquote high tech films where it's like, yeah, the technology, and it's like they didn't really know exactly, like they just made shit up. Like the film Hackers, for example. It's like
I love Hackers.
No one is going to have their password as God. It's not long enough for one thing.
It's one of the most common passwords, top 3. Have you not seen Hackers? Sorry, continue.
But it's that thing though, like, no one, again, at this stage, no one really properly understood like computers. Like, your everyday person didn't understand computers at this stage, but they didn't do it like over the top with like, well, it's got a full-on control panel. We've got to enter this thing and then flip this switch. It's literally just a keyboard touch, which is what it would really be in real life. And
oh yeah,
and I like that. I like that it wasn't some big, massive, like like a button that's hidden behind a giant safe or something that requires facial recognition and retinal scans and all that stuff. And it's just like, it's literally just typing the letter Y into a keyboard.
Yeah. And then hoping for the best and getting the worst. But we've been kind of dancing around it. We haven't really talked about it at all, but we have to talk about the TX.
Yeah,
like she shows up, and I gotta give what's her
Kristanna Loken.
Kristanna Loken. I gotta give her credit. Like she is walking into a role that has been like pop culture phenomenon between Arnold and then I'm forgetting everyone's name today.
Robert Patrick.
I was about to say Robert Pattinson again.
That's when I leave the meeting.
That's Batman. He's doing.
But with these two guys that have made these two extremely iconic characters that they will forever be known for, and then in comes Kristanna Loken, who's relatively unknown, and she has to not only play game with these two titans, but she has to try to create her own also huge character, and I think she gives it her best possible shot. Like you can tell
she's 23 at the time.
Yeah,
22, 23. Like I was looking it up going, how old is this? Because I don't think she hadn't had a lot of acting experience as well. I think she was a model originally.
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, she's attractive enough to be one. That makes sense.
Yeah. She can terminate me any day.
I mean, she can also like adjust the size of her boobs like on command.
I stand by what I say.
And that is dumb, but makes sense. That is one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
like it's a robot.
makes-
It's here to kill people as efficiently as possible, and men are dumb. That would totally
Yeah.
work.
I'm going to manipulate this person the easiest way possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, how dare you? That's so accurate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you see, it's like, yeah, okay, like inflatable boobs. It's a silly concept, but it would also really fucking work.
Yeah.
like,
It's like-
like you know, it's that thing of like, yeah, an AI from the future would sort of like, you know, it'd be processing it going, well, I need to distract this person long enough to get the one over on him. Oh, I'll just make my boobs bigger.
Yeah, and like to everyone
This
out
movie,
there, sorry, go ahead.
this movie has to straddle a line between believability and objectifying a woman as one of the main leads. You know, it could be easy to lean into like she's just going to be a sexy vixen robot throughout the entire movie, and it's used sparingly in the places where it made sense, and I think they did a decent job of that.
I honestly say hats off to the filmmakers on that one, because this movie could have been ridiculous. It could have been basically like, you know, thongs showing at a like high waisted.
More ridiculous. More
ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, ridiculous in the bad way. Like the ridiculous of like, oh my God, can you just let the actress do her job, please? Like, and it never felt like that to me. It never felt like the camera or anything was lingering or just trying to be like pervasive. Like it just felt like this is.
It allowed her to be a villain. Just in the way, like just in the way she spoke, you know, and it's you know, Jose Barrera, and then like, you know, I like your car. I like your gun. Like it's nothing sexy about it. It's the inferring that you do when it comes to like, I like your gun, you know, and then she just, it's completely monotone, and that's awesome the way she handles her character. Yeah. And even the running too, like on par with Robert Patrick. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
100%. So I think she did a bang up job.
And I love the phraseology of that too. Like I like your gun instead of Arnold's give me your gun.
Yeah.
The sort of coercive nature of that.
I think that's the thing is like, this is clearly a much smarter machine in just in that respect as well, because it's like, well, if I say give me your gun to a police officer, he's going to draw it, and it's going to basically cause a lot of attention at this point. Yeah. So I will go through a flirty route, which will give me the opportunity to get the drop on him.
Yeah, and it works. Yeah. And does she need a gun? Not really. She's got a Mega Man arm, but you know, it's still like it makes for a good sequence.
Yeah. It also makes for a good reveal later on in the film as well.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, like, and I also like the movie's not afraid to give her the extreme upper hand. Like, so when they eventually talk to Arnold about it, it's like, oh, so we have to fight a TX thing. What's that? He's like, way better than me. Yeah. I am basically a Walkman. Like,
I mean, it's literally like, as John Connors described, it's an anti-Terminator Terminator.
Yeah.
It's a Terminator designed to fight Terminators, because Skynet's been through this, like, well, they've sent back a Terminator to defend, to protect John now. So it's like, well, we need something that can fight a Terminator as well.
Yeah.
Or just control machines.
Yeah. I mean, that I liked that element to it as well. The sort of interface, and it's the nanotechnology part of it, where it's putting nanites into the machines to control them, and you know, making the cars drive, and then taking over Arnold later on in the film. It's a really interesting idea, and it's the idea of like, so is part of the mission, like, you know, it's obviously not to kill John because they can't find him, but is it to kill his lieutenants as part one of the mission? Then part two of the mission is actually to help Skynet, so it can be more powerful in future. Like, is Skynet trying to change the future? In how it will be? Is Skynet trying to make itself better?
She's a walking virus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a horrible way of describing it. Sorry, Christina, if you're listening.
But it also, because of that, it leads to, I mean, this movie has problems, like, and we're singing its praises, but it is not a flawless movie. It's very corny. Like the fan service moments are extreme. Like
it leans into camp hard.
Extremely leads into camp, and to the point where I'm not sure if it even understands camp all the way.
This might sound like a weird critique, but Arnold didn't seem robotic enough.
No, but
yes, 100%.
Yeah. Again, I have an idea there.
I think he starts off as robotic, but very quickly it's almost like he's had the learning bit flipped on. So like the very beginning where he's getting like the guy goes, talk to the hand, and he's like, he grabs the hand and he's like, now he talks into his hand. That's kind of robotic, but then that's kind of gone very quickly.
But okay, so here's I'm totally theorizing. I have nothing to go on here, but I'm just guessing. We don't know how long Catherine's had this T-800. All we know is that this T-800, at least we can infer based on the dialogues, that this is the T-800 that killed John, or T-850 in this one. I think they call it.
Yeah, T-850. Okay. I think he's a slightly better design.
Yeah,
he's a little bit more Arnold.
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 versus PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, he's got a 1 terabyte hard drive as standard, and can do 4K.
Yeah,
they now did.
The problem is this new version, its batteries are easily corrupted. Anyhow, but there's this an idea that maybe they've had this one for a while. Like maybe after it killed John, Catherine said, "No, we can't destroy it. We're going to need something like this." And then they flipped the switch immediately, and then they had to hang out with this thing for a while before they're able to send it back. So maybe, because we never saw them have to flip the switch to this one like they did in the last one. So maybe all that pre-work has been done. So by the time he shows up, he's already kind of halfway there. Again, theorizing, I've got nothing to go on with this, but just the context clues. And because we never had to see that extra sequence of, let's make him a learning robot again, which they never returned to, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, no, it's easy not to infer that. And it in the grand scheme of this movie that I enjoyed, it's a minor quibble, but it was just one of the early observations I had.
Yeah. There's a grand scheme to this movie.
Well, one thing I was just thinking of, when Arnold arrives in the desert, I never understood it at the time. I thought it was something to do with the time travel device, but I suddenly realized this time he walks out and the ground is glass, and it's because the intense heat has turned the sand into glass, and it's like little details like that. Yes. Like we didn't have anything because they landed in concrete before, so like you had the little dip in the hole which was glowing a little bit, and the chunk out of the truck which was glowing, and the fence as well that was glowing. But we never really saw, like, we saw that in T2, but it's very subtle. Whereas this one, they point out, like, they see him walk, like these footsteps on, and it's like the glass breaks. And I think maybe at the time bear in mind this is 2003, so I'll have been, I probably would have understood that, how you make glass at 16. I would hope.
Who knows?
I don't. Starting to question that now, but basically, it's the sort of the detail of it. Like I loved when the TX comes through and you see the mannequin face just melts, and then like in the store, and it's all set fire, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And it's weird. I went into this one thinking, oh god, we've done the two good ones now this is going to be a bit of a slog. But I actually really enjoyed it. Like the more I talk about it, the more I realize how much I enjoyed it. But like the things that I remember about it was, like, for example, one of my notes is about the cop. The actor who plays the cop is plays Kowalski in Stargate SG-1. and I always thought that at the time. I was like, oh, it's Kowalski. Mainly because I wanted that character to stick around. But anyway, but one thing I do want to bring up, because I know we talked about Brad Fiedel a lot in the last two. Marco Beltrami is no Brad Fiedel.
No.
The music is not good in this one. It's very 2003.
I was just gonna say that it feels very 2003.
Yeah.
Marco Beltrami, like, I feel like he has like one good score, and then he mimics it for every other movie he does after that, or it gets used and taper with. Like it was done for Scream, and then they used it in H2O, and then it's just, he's very simple, and it's not good.
No. I mean, he went on to score Die Hard 4, which is the first time I will ever refer to that film as an actual Die Hard film, because it is not. But throughout his entire score, he's literally just taking stuff that Michael Kamen did in the first Die Hard, which there was a specific reason why he had these themes, because it was all linking into the Beethoven thing. But he's just sticking that in like randomly, like that. But it's like there's no thematic reason for that theme to be there, and it's just it. This kind of felt like that score as well. Every now and again, he just throw in like the Terminator theme.
Well,
but it didn't feel like it didn't feel appropriate.
The blend is off. Like, I'm not saying the music itself is bad. It's not great, but it's not the best. But gone are the days of like, because I'll get to it in a moment, but gone are the days of like in the T2 chase sequence, the music is so awesome, but it's also extremely simplistic. Just but
it's effective.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's the simplistic but very effective.
Yeah,
thing.
This guy didn't have it. Like, he doesn't have that mix.
That thumping da sound in the first two movies, it was either used as a warning, or as a exclamation point, and you didn't get that sense of impact here.
No, not at
No.
all. But the thing I did want to
like, oh, it's a Terminator score. I haven't done the theme for a while. Oh, I'll just put it in here.
It's been 15 minutes. What is this, like a Marvel action sequence? Just chuck it in. But the one thing I will say is, even though the music wasn't there, the action sequences throughout the entire movie fucking work.
Yeah.
They are shot well. They're fun to watch. They're way over the top. Like, compared to like the first two movies,
that car chase,
the car chase is insane.
Yeah. It's got one of my favorite moments in all the sequels of the Terminator films as well. It's like where he crashes into the fire engine, and it's the shot of the firefighters just looking at him like, and he just goes, I'll drive. Yeah. It's like, that's such a good moment. And I like that. And it's very reminiscent of when Terminator 2, when he was trying to be funny. Like, you know, the sort of the sense of humor. I thought it was very good. It kind of speaks, I think, a little bit to your point of they probably hung out with the Terminator for a bit, which for me, I just keep picturing them at like a dance club and Arnold just like going.
We've made our post-apocalyptic tech noir. Get dancing.
Yeah. Now I'm just thinking of Pulp Fiction with Uma Thurman and John Travolta.
He was a teenager.
Arnold doing the eye thing.
I'm not doing the Batman. I'm doing the Terminator.
Oh man.
But it's not just the car chase. Like, literally every action sequence throughout this movie is good, even when it's dumb. Like the graveyard sequence where Dr. Sylvia comes back, and it's like, why are you
Silverman?
What did I say?
Sylvia.
No, whatever. You knew who I was talking about. When Dr. Jackass Butthead shows up.
I like that moment, though. I do like that moment.
It doesn't make sense for him to be there, but I do like it.
No, it makes no sense.
What I like, though, no, it does make sense, because, you know, he's lost his star attraction. Yes. And he says, I'm with the sheriff's department. He's like, he's got nothing left. So he's back to doing field work with police forces.
Yeah, because he's lost.
I thought it was great. And it's like, Carmody, you son of a bitch.
No, I did, like, weirdly enough, as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember thinking that at the time as well. It's like, oh, he's back to his old job because Sarah's gone and he's lost his meal ticket.
Yep.
Okay, well, I do appreciate that then.
I think knowing that that's basically his arc as well, of the, you know, he sort of like sees Carl's like, I could make a career out of this guy, and then makes a career out of Sarah. Like, it's quite a nice button on the end of it of like, oh yeah, you were making a career out of her. And because you've just gone straight back to your original job now that she's gone.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Yeah. It kind of works in a way that I was not thinking about at all. But I do like, while you watch that sequence, it's like, oh, you didn't handle T2 very well, did you? Like, like you give a guy who needed therapy and never got it. Like that.
Well, was it they said doctors make the worst patients? I have a feeling that therapists make the worst.
I can tell you from experience, a lot of people that go into psychology or psychiatry, it is because they're trying to understand themselves better.
Yeah.
Their material.
Are you a psychiatrist, Joel? Is this a confession?
No, but I've known people who went to that for college, and oh boy.
It's like you're going to be a psychiatrist. Oh, really?
I am the least qualified person to tell somebody how to live their life better.
Tell me more, Joel.
No, I think I've said enough.
I do like the bit with the where he comes out of the funeral home. Then it's like the police officer's like, drop the weapon and the coffin.
On one shoulder.
Yeah. It's like very, very tall man.
Yeah.
I love the coffin of guns and weapons.
Oh yeah.
Love
and it's so Sarah Connor. Like
Yeah,
it's
so Sarah Connor.
like this movie makes a lot of like odd choices, but that one, like, oh, Sarah Connor was cremated and spread somewhere, and she has a whole tomb just full of fucking guns just in case. Yeah, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if anything, she's got a tomb in every major US city with guns somewhere.
It was
I'm
buried
like, man,
so
this
many
movie
times.
is missing Linda Hamilton. Nope, there she is.
Yeah. But then, like, even like that action sequence of like I love just the imagery of the coffin just full of the bullet holes. And like the idea that not only did Sarah Connor get a coffin full of guns, she got a bulletproof coffin just in case. Like all of that to me is just like, yeah, I like all of this. But then
I buy that. I buy all of that because I remember, I think I was reading like trivia or like goofs on IMDb, and it said something like, coffins are not actually bulletproof. And it's like, yes, no, as standard, they're not. But that like in Sarah's will, it was like, okay, I want you to take all these guns, put them in a coffin, but also make sure the coffin is made out of military grade steel.
Yeah. Like, why would we do that?
Tank armor. I want
just in case.
It's like, why would we do that? Because it's in my will.
Yeah.
We'll follow my will to the letter.
You want me to live for another year? Put it in the coffin.
They say she passed due to leukemia. Is that the reason why in the movie? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing else was gonna kill her. Goddamn. But that's
even then it was a fight.
Yeah.
3 years.
But that's
they said 6 months, and then she held on to Judgment Day, like it was 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I love as well. It's like, what do we do? Like she wanted to dance around in the street, and what do we do? She got drunk.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very Sarah Connor thing as well.
It's all tracks.
But that's a great detail too, because you've heard enough stories where somebody is on death's door and they wait just long enough to see somebody, and the fact that she hung on till Judgment Day as almost like a reassurance of, okay, it didn't happen, my job is done here.
Yeah.
100%.
It's for a movie that could have used a Sarah Connor, they did it very well without her. Like by having those little story moments in there, it still works.
Yeah.
But I don't want to skip over something in that cemetery because we're moving on too quick. But the fact that cemetery sequence is so corny and so ridiculous, and then also has the Catherine Brewster moment of now you're turning into your own version of Sarah Connor, because that's what she sees her husband turn into the robot. She realizes all that drama's happening. Like this movie does very goofy and plot important at the same time rather well.
Yeah.
Oh, she has a shit day.
Yeah, she has a bad
day. I was
day.
just thinking that, like, one of the things I was thinking is Claire Danes does an amazing job of selling it as well. Like the trauma that she's going through in this one day of, like, her whole world is falling apart. Her fiance gets murdered. Her dad dies in her arms.
And there's this weird juxtaposition where you're showing all this traumatic stuff, and then it's this big fun action scene that happens right after.
And just to take another knock at this movie, it's very 2003. She's had the worst day ever. John Connor has been preparing for this day since he was 12. And then at the end of the movie, who's comforting who?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. The woman's comforting the man. Come on, guys.
just her, she's scared, but she's strong.
Yeah.
She has no idea what's going on. It definitely reminiscent of Sarah Connor. Like when she grabs the gun, she's like, "You're letting me out," and then she shoots him. He's like, "Don't do that," and she's like, "Oh,
yeah."
And then her going through her brain, like, "Okay, something's not right here, but I need to, run away. And, when all that's going down, she runs, and then she sees that her boyfriend is in fact a robot because he's been killed, which that kill when he's in the back seat and drives the car, probably my favorite moment of the whole thing.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
But just her character arc and seeing her understand, and then when she finds out that she can control the Terminator, I think the gears are slowly turning in her mind of how much of a badass she is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, proven by when they're fighting the flying Terminator at the end. Like once we're gonna kind of move into the end here so we can finish this episode at some point. But like as the movie ramps up and the machines start coming to life, like she falls in, like she's ready to go. Like they have that flying Terminator in the hallway that's like about to kill both of them, and John's like, "Where's my mom?" And she's like, "I'm fucking right here."
I got your AK.
I love that because she basically grabs it, and I took that as a thing of like she's had so much shit happen to her. She's like, "No, enough! No, I'm not getting killed by a fucking flying weird predator drone thing. You are fucking dying." And she like picks up the assault rifle and just opens up on it, and then there's like it is quite it's a fun little line, but then like you think about the weird kind of
it's weird.
Like,
it's a weird line.
Yeah, you remind me of my mother, but he looks turned on.
Yeah, can you be less turned on when you say that?
Yeah, he's like, okay,
can you put the gun on your shoulder?
Yeah,
and God bless her, she looks uncomfortable in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to remember they were just told that not only are they an item in the future, they're married with kids. Like they have a very romantic relationship. Romantic's a hard word, but in the apocalypse,
you're looking for the word physical
relationship coming. And then how does it start? The first line where he shows affection is, "You remind me of my mother," and she's like, "Oh, I really hope the future's not set."
she's like going thinking, "Oh Christ, he needs therapy."
And he's
all
not
the therapists are about
it.
to die.
Yeah, all the therapists are gonna die.
Dr. Silverman,
Dr. Silverman, come back.
But, like, once shit finally does start popping off, and like it does, you start like I remember the first time watching this in the theater and constantly being like, "So when are they gonna win? So when are they gonna win?" Because it's 2003. You don't really expect movies where they lose. Like it's not really something that happens. And as it's
blockbuster films as well, like
definitely not.
You could get like a
4th of July weekend
thing.
movie. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like it's like we're basically not only do they lose, everyone fucking loses. Like the world is blown to oblivion.
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods-esque. Everyone's dead. Like everyone, the audience watching the movie, you're dead too. Like all gone. And like they do it really well, where as it's happening, you can see that like John Connor and Catherine are like, "We're fighting this. We're gonna get to the mainframe. We're gonna shut it all down." And they did it well enough where the audience starts going, "Oh no, you're not."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like you get to know it just a few minutes before they do, so you're just ahead of the ball enough to kind of have this almost like pity feeling of like, you've lost, you lost, guys.
I think it's really clever, like when you go back knowing the ending as well and watching it through, knowing that it's going to end with Skynet is actually online, there's not a mainframe, all the things that it's kind of telling you that as well in the imagery of like, this computer virus, it's on the web, and it's like, well, Skynet is the computer virus, so why would there be a like one mainframe? If they blew that up, it would kill Skynet. It's clearly on the internet. And like I think in some respects this film came out too early, because I don't think like no one really fully understood, like not people understood the internet, not everyday people though. Like people in who are going to just be walking in to see this film didn't really understand how the internet worked. And like getting your head around the idea of there is just data just exists and there is no real physical realm of that. I mean, there is like physical servers, but an AI could just live in these sort of like these networked areas and move from computer to computer. So it doesn't matter if you blow up one mainframe, it'll just be hiding in another one. And
I mean, like 2003 is like the days of like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's like like late days Napster's time internet, like where you're still having like AIM chat room, not chat rooms, but like you'd still have like AIM
I think
windows,
it was even
like open on
think
your computer so you could like talk to people like all night. Like it's like that level internet, right?
Yeah, I think 2003 was around the time when Napster was in the news. I think.
Okay, yeah. So like people are just kind of learning like the abilities of the internet and like what things work. And way to go, writers of this movie. They ran with it. Like, oh yeah, like that's how this would work. So
most households are on 56k dial-up at this point as well. It's like, you know.
Yeah, my first time doing fast speed internet was going to college.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Yeah. What I liked about this ending, one of many things, I forgot most of this movie outside of that ridiculous car chase early on,
which is so awesome.
It's a great scene. Great scene.
It's very 2003 in the editing though. I did make a note a few times, like I can't tell what's actually happening at certain points in this car chase because it's very, it's like Born Supremacy. It's very like, you know, we're very close in. We're doing a lot of fast edits, but Born Supremacy did it a lot better. Like there was some sort of like, you could tell a little bit more what was going on to a certain extent. There's bits that are missing from that, but with this one there was a lot of like, wait, what's that vehicle? Whoa, what's going on there? Because the TX had taken over the vehicle.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. They're a bit like, hang on a minute. What's that? Is that an actual police car now, or is that one of the robot ones? Because it was very sort of like fast-paced editing.
Yeah.
I would have preferred a bit more of what we got in Terminator 2, like, you know, a little bit, not so much wider, but, you know,
You want this mid-2000s movie to be more like one of the greatest movies of all time?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Especially following on from that. And I think it's because we have this, you know, I think we talked about it in the Terminator 2, and like, you know, you have the Terminator and then you go from the Terminator to Terminator 2, and it's kind of like the same basic idea of like the car chase and stuff like that, but ramped up at a bigger level. And you would think, you know, for something like Terminator 3, they would take Terminator 2 and ramp it up to a bigger level. And
they did. They did it with
they then over-edited it.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's like you ramped it up to an even bigger thing. It's like, yeah, this is so fucking cool, but then you over-edited and it doesn't have that same impact.
And
it
it's still throwing that early 2000s slow-mo every now and then of like, don't do this. Don't do this. It's better than Resident Evil 2, but still don't do this.
Yeah.
But Joel, I'm sorry, we both kind of steamrolled you. What were you saying about that?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So part of my lack of memory, you get to the point where they're stealing the helicopter and starting to head out to this base. I either started piecing together my memories as they got to the location, or maybe there's a little bit of a like tone that you sort of knew where it was going. Abject failure, right?
Yeah.
So you're right that I think they give you sort of little breadcrumbs or clues that like it's inescapable, especially if you have an understanding of the movie series prior to this. And we've already established a few times, fate. It is what is built into this whole series. So you can kind of infer that it's not going to end well, but there's still that suspense at the end. Yeah.
And it works, but like after they, you know, the TX gets back, like, because they kind of beat the TX by attaching it to a magnet, but you know that's not going to work forever. TX has beaten the absolute shit out of Arnold, like punched his head almost all the way off. He's nearly headless Arnold. I apologize for my Harry Potter reference. Like
that was a Harry Potter reference.
Yeah, well, never mind then.
I only watch good films, Brian.
Anyhow, moving on.
Hey, 3 is a good movie.
The majority of them are good movies. None of them are great movies, but the majority are at least good. But that's a conversation for another day. You're British. You're supposed to like these.
Yeah, no, they're shite.
Anyhow, but like, so we had the sequence
written by a transphobe.
I mean, that part I can't defend at all, and nor would I ever want to. But so this movie's ending, like things are kind of going nuts, and they're getting like things are popping off. The TX is coming back for one last push. The Terminator comes back, like they do their old little fight thing, and as they're going down the elevators and they start going past these hallways and stuff, the hallways don't look like the hallways from the first Terminator, but they do just enough that like when they walk by him, it's like, why does that place look familiar? And like it's just done just well enough that if you're a huge fan of the other Terminator movies, when they enter that area, it's like, this shouldn't feel familiar, but it kind of does.
Yeah.
And like that moment, like if you haven't figured it out yet, beyond the fact that Nick Stahl set the world's shortest timer on a bomb. He was
that bit where he's like, "Why have you even set it counting down at this point? Wait till you're down there." And set it counting down. The amount of times I was sitting there, like I was just thinking, can you imagine? Because he turns it off at like 7 seconds left. Can you imagine if he just took a little bit more time and he's just like, "Oh, I can't believe it. I can't."
I know the future's like, oh, that's a freebie. But beyond that, like, I love the way the realization really sinks in for like both the audience and the characters at the same time. And it's done so well of like, why are these computers so old? Why are these computers all analog? None of this shit's connected to anything. Oh, fuck. He gave us our command center. Shit, we lost. It's like such a good moment. And it will make this one of the best of the bad sequels. Like for me, it's a tough one to beat.
Yeah, I like as well how at the end, like throughout the entire film, he's basically been saying, "I don't want to be this savior of humanity. I don't want it," and he accepts it at the end. And he when he grabs the microphone and it's like, you know, my name is John Connor, Crystal. What was it? Crystal Peak. I kept wanting to say Crystal Lake. I was like, no, that's
very different movie. Terminator would lose in that movie.
Yeah. Be an interesting fight. But I just like that as well. It's kind of like the character fully becoming, like, embracing his destiny, I suppose. Like, you know, he's been trying to run from it, and it's just like, no, I can't escape from it. I'm going to have to accept it. And, you know, it's this idea of like, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. Well, there is.
Yep.
Like, there is fate. And it's, if it would have ended there, I think it would have been a nice kind of, like, you know, the trilogy wise, it's like rounding off into a nice kind of, there is no fate, there is fate. And I've accepted that there's fate. Yeah.
Would have been a very good ending, but instead, Mick G had plans.
The fact that he's just called, that he calls himself Mick G. Fuck off. And fuck off him again. Keep fucking off.
Yeah, that'd be like if you assigned the name Zombie Dog to yourself. It just wouldn't feel right.
I didn't assign the name Zombie Dog to myself, though.
I know. That was one time I wasn't being glib.
I can never tell with you, Joel. I just always assume you're being glib.
Anyhow, I think we've covered enough of this thing. I think we could move into some quotes and
or wait, whoa.
There's one bit. There's a couple of bits I do want to quickly mention.
Oh my god!
I was going to
talk about Terminator 3.
I was going to say we have to talk about how TX dies. I think that's a badass way where the Terminator's
sure.
Yeah. I have to use, you know, there's this final, they get there and TX comes in a helicopter. Arnold comes in a bigger helicopter and dashes up. I think it's a great set piece. The CGI might not be the best, but you know what? It works for what it is.
It's 2003.
Like, you know, and earlier you see the reference where his fuel cell is damaged and you understand that TX can kill machines. So what does Arnold do? He figures out that I'm just going to take my fuel cell and terminate this thing because that's what's going to kill it. And I think that's a very poetic ending. You know, in an unstoppable machine that can kill machines, it gets killed by a machine. I think it's perfect.
And it also made me think as well. So, you know, how we were saying in the first, for the first Terminator film, that your terminated fucker doesn't ever come back. Kind of does.
Kind of, a little bit here, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, we have the Terminator version of that. You are terminated. And, you know, that's... It would have been great if we would have just added a fucker on the end, but, you know. But I think they were going for a weird kind of... was kind of an R-rated, but we're actually wanting to be a bit more PG-13 in this one. It feels very sanitized as this one.
It does.
Well, my only issue with that scene, though, is like he's taken out his only other power cell, but he's still able to move at that point.
Suspend some disbelief, Matt.
Yeah, just
he has to power down. He has to cycle, man. Let it go.
Have you ever like unplugged something and the light's still on just for a few minutes? Like,
that's a light, not a full Terminator unit.
I'm sorry. Do you know how to build a Terminator?
He could have reserves in his tank. You don't know that.
Yeah. The only problem I have with that sequence is when Nick Stahl's John Connor's crawling by and he's like, "Thank you." He's like, "We'll see each other again." I just want the follow-up line from Nick Stahl.
When I kill you,
kill me, bitch. Like,
we
don't
will meet
say
again
this as a positive.
when I blow you away.
See, I'll disagree with that one. And for what it's worth, that's actually my favorite moment. I mean, the ending as a whole is my favorite moment, but my favorite line is that because it is that resonation of like, okay, yeah, we're in fate. I'll see you again. I know what's going on here.
I'm going to murder you when I see you again. Just so we're on the same page. We will see each other again. You will love it until you don't.
We will see each other again. I will love the experience completely. You will love it for a bit and then realize what a horrible mistake you've made.
If it makes you feel any better as he's like walking away, like, remember, this is where I end. I don't get out of it great.
Maybe thrown an "I'll be back" in there somewhere.
Oh man.
I mean, yes, she'll be back.
Yeah, she'll be back. Worked, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll take
it. And then when he when he crashed the helicopter, he comes out and goes, "I'm back."
Yeah. I think
which, to be honest, when it works better in Expendables 2 when he does that.
Yeah. No, the Expendables 2, that's the one with the Bruce Willis follow up, right? You always say that. I'll be back this time.
No. So there's two bits in Expendables 2. So there's one bit where
that fucking movie.
He comes in and he goes, "I'm back." I like Expendables 2. It's the best of the three.
I like the first one,
but it's about to be 4.
Yeah, and none of them are great. But either way, was there anything else we want to talk about Terminator 3 before we move into the final favorite moments that Joel's already said his?
I just want to say one thing. The CGI endos in the opening sequence, they still look pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah, I like some of the other CGI is a bit janky, but actually, I was looking like going, that's pretty fucking good CGI still.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen movies today that look worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like they still kind of feel physical.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move into favorite quotes, moments, whatever you have. Joel's already said his. Mine's kind of also from the ending. Mine's a very big trailer moment though, and sometimes I'm a sucker for trailer moments, and this one just really worked for me. And it's that moment where we jumped over it because we can talk about so much, where the TX has overtaken Arnold, and Arnold is trying to fight against the TX. I think that's the best acting from both Nick Stahl and Arnold in the whole movie. Like Arnold walking, like, "Get away from me now, run!" Like, I love like that whole thing. But the line that it was in every single trailer, every single TV spot, everything they could possibly put it in.
I think I know what line it is.
I am a machine.
Definitely not that. No, mine was the when he's got him up against the car and he's the
you're about to fail in your mission.
What's your mission? To save John Connor. You're about to fail that mission. It's such a good like Nick Stahl sells the shit out of that line.
Yeah.
I actually think Nick Stahl is pretty good in this, and I'm trying to think of anything other than Sin City that I've actually seen him in. And I can't.
That was going to be my
bedroom.
In the bedroom, he's really good.
Todd Field. Love Todd Field. Sorry.
Nobody's a big fan of Domestic Disturbance.
Yes, John Travolta.
No, not that one. No, I'm doing the one. Isn't it Domestic Disturbance? The one with him,
Disturbance, Vince Vaughn and John Travolta.
What the fuck is it? Disturbing Behavior? There you go.
There it is. Yes, James Marsden.
James Marsden and Nick Stahl.
Not even heard of that one.
And Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's
when you said Domestic Disturbance, I immediately thought of Arlington Road. I was like, no, that's a different film.
God, the 2000s just could not name movies.
They really couldn't.
Well, that was, I think, that was like late 90s, I think, and that was another one where the bad guy wins as well. Actually,
yes, Arlington Road's a great movie.
I've only seen it once, and back when it came out, so it's been a minute. All right, who's else's favorite moments?
I'll go, just because I already said it. I just love when he says, "I'm a machine." You never hear Arnold say that, and just when he's fighting his system, I think that's just the way Arnold acts in that scene is really well done, and what they did with his voice to kind of give it that little auto tone, like he's fighting the virus, really well done, and it was like a moment because you never hear him refer to himself like "I am a machine." He always refers to, "Oh, I'm the T, 800" or anything along those lines. But it's like that, "I am a machine." Like,
well, yeah, it's like, I think even in this film there's a bit where he says, "You're a damn robot." And he says, "Cybernetic organism." He's like, whatever.
Semantics.
So for
Matt, so you're the last one.
I know what it's like to be in a hostage situation. I've been there myself. The fear, the adrenaline. Find yourself imagining things, impossible things, crazy things, insane things.
Yeah, you needed therapy, dude.
Takes years to get over it. It's like, it's so funny because you see him just like, he's gone. He's like, it was very Dr. Loomis, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone. He's basically, he's gone. And I was struggling to choose between that one and this one, so I'll just do this one as well. Catherine Brewster, have you sustained injury? Drop dead, asshole. I'm unable to comply.
Yeah, my only other one with Catherine Brewster moments with her and the Terminator was the whole like, oh, how do I die? Actually, you know what? I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And just that look on her
How
face.
does he die?
How does he die? Very good moment.
And then it's like, I kill him.
Yeah, I killed him. We'll see you soon.
We'll meet again. Yes, I know.
Yeah, you told me.
Rick.
Thanks. Looking forward to it. All right, so I think that brings Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines to a close. Happily, I'd say we all pretty much enjoyed it versus next week, where I think 1 out of the 4 of us will say it was okay. It's me. Spoilers.
I have thoughts.
I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm saying it's not a bad movie. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's a bad movie.
No, I agree.
Let's
It's
say
not-
for next week.
I agree. It's not a bad movie. It's a fucking awful movie.
The fact that they made it an R-rated version, and they don't even they're like, oh yeah, then we're gonna have this whole sequence with Moon Bloodgood naked. They don't even show anything. It's side move. That's PG-13 realm. Come on.
It's not a bad movie. We'll get into it. I'll read all of my notes, 100% of them next week, because I only wrote 3, and the first one's the only important one. Let's move into a quick round of plugs, and we'll say goodbye for this show and every other show on the ATH network. Be sure to check out ATH Pod. That's all I'm going to say for that. Just go to athpod.com, because we actually have new stuff. Oh, fuck, I actually do have to talk about that. We have a new feature on athpod.com that you should absolutely go check out, where we have basically, John and I have spent a lot of time sending links back and forth to each other, and I mean like years of like, hey, did you see this yesterday? Oh, did you see this yesterday? Like, that's just kind of how we communicate. And we decided to actually just kind of start putting that on our website, because, you know, we're all busy people and we miss the news quite often. So we have a new feature on athpod.com called Yesterday's News Today. That is me, Brock, Matt, Joel, and John. And we just kind of send links to each other of, hey, did you see this? This is kind of interesting. Oh, this is dumb. Oh, you see this trailer? That's kind of funny. And you can go there and you'll see all the stuff that we thought was interesting throughout the day before. And be sure to check that out. It's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun kind of pulling stuff and writing very somewhat sarcastic headlines, kind of poking fun a little bit, like not being too mean. We could be meaner.
I've done a few sarcastic ones. I've done a few serious ones as well. But every time I hear it in my head, and it's Homer going, yesterday, today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what he's saying. I can't remember what he's saying. I think it's when he was being an inventor or something.
Yeah.
Yesterday's technology, today.
It gave me a moment to do one of my absolute favorite Futurama quotes of all time, when I was talking about the Outer Worlds and how many problems Outer World is having. And I said, extra, extra, the new greatest RPG sucks. Love Futurama. All right, that's gonna be my plugs. Be sure to check out Yesterday's News Today. It's a lot of fun. Joel, what about you?
Afterthoughts is a podcast with my wife where we do book reviews. We have finished our first part of the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. We did not get as far as I'd like, but we're going to try to wrap up the rest of it in our next episode. It is easy to get in a rabbit hole of talking about book versus movie, especially since it's been so long since I've read the books. But yeah, keep on the lookout for that. And then Super GG Radio is a video game podcast where we talk about mostly indie releases, filling out our backlog. And my game recommendation of the day is Eastward. Eastward.
Okay. I'm still in the middle of Persona 4. That's eating up all of my time. But Eastward, and that vampire one you always recommended. What was that
Vampire
one?
Survivors.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Still need to get to both of those. Matt, what about you? What you plugging?
Not a lot.
Yeah, trying to maybe see if he'd had something if I went before Ryan this time, but still no. Okay, so back to Ryan.
You can find me on Front Row Flashbacks, where we talk about movies from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. We're going to be doing the Korean version of Old Boy, so I'm looking forward to talking that one. And then you can find me on the Podcast of Us, which I've only been on once, but hopefully we get all together and do the last one. The season finale is right around the corner, aka tonight. So that'll be we'll probably record and do an afterthought show, which I imagine me and Joel will both be on. And then of course I do all the Academy Award coverage for the Front Row Network, and that's wrapping up because the Oscars are tonight. So I look forward to watching those and breaking it down after all the awards are done. And if Austin Butler wins, I may never watch a movie again because fuck that movie.
Man, that really seems to be a love it or hate it movie. I have not seen it yet, but
hate.
I have not seen a lot of the movies from last year. Really, the only Oscar movie I think I've seen is All Quiet.
And it's
and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've seen those two.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah, those are both great movies. So those are my picks, but so those are the two I saw.
They will win tonight.
They will definitely win something. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Didn't Avatar get nominated for Best Picture again?
Oh yeah, I guess that one. I love Avatar. I saw it 5 times, and even I'm like, Best Picture? Are you sure?
Well, they did the first one as well, didn't they?
It's a better story than the first one. So when you can scale it up that way,
sure,
it's perfect. Either way, it's going to win Best Visual. I don't think there's a movie that is going to stop it in the visual realm. Unless it doesn't win because everyone's like, well, I'm going to vote for this thing because everyone else is going to vote for Avatar. That sort of shit does happen. But anyhow, we've talked enough. And we got to get started on Salvation, so you can listen to that next week. So, bye.
God bless.
I'll be back.